Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Great episode, but before I get into my review, if you're new to this channel, hello and welcome. I summarize and review the latest Central Kapımı episodes, say what I like, what I didn't like, what I think might happen next. If you like these kinds of videos, like, comment, share, but most importantly subscribe so we can meet on a weekly basis. This episode was once again focusing more on the Eda and Serkan storyline than on the other storylines. So let's quickly talk about the side storylines before we dive into the Eda and Serkan storyline. First we have Ayfer, whose catering business is blooming because she has to cook and make cupcakes, like I think 600 cupcakes for this, I will call it from now on the golf club or just club. So the committee where Aidan is part of, and also Ferit's mother, because that woman is actually Ferit's mother. I was so confused last episode because one time they were talking about Ferit's aunt, but then when they were sitting all at the table they were talking about Ferit's mother, so I was really confused. Her name is Nesrin, so she was introduced as his mother and he also said to her, hello mother, so I would just call her mother. Anyways, because Ayfer has to cook that much, Fifi is really helping her out, and also Ferit, because Aidan was skeptical of Ayfer being able to cook that many, like this quantity of cupcakes for this auction, for this ball gala thing, whatever. So because he hates it when people say you can't do something, he tries to help that person. So he offered Ayfer to cook in his hotel in the kitchen. One thing we also found out about Fifi is that she knows this kind of life of people being part in such clubs because her parents apparently are also members of this club, and even Nesrin recognized Fifi, and to see her so proper and not that harsh makeup, it was really interesting to see her like that. Then we have this whole competition happening between Aidan and Nesrin, so Ferit's mother, and I thought it was really interesting to see both of them kind of trying to outdo the other person, and just seeing Aidan going outside visiting Serkan at the office. It was really nice to see her in other places than her house, and I really like that Aidan is supporting Eda and Serkan being in a relationship and wants to get them back together, and her plans are just amazing. Then we have the Jagan and Ferit storyline. So Ferit is trying to apologize for what he said over the phone the last time. She's very, no, I don't want that, so she's blowing him off kind of, but he keeps trying in a way to be near her, to look at her, because at that event he only had eyes for Jagan. So when this whole model thing was happening, because Aidan had this idea to say that the models can't be here because they got food poisoning or something like that, and she needs the dresses to be shown off, and she needs 6 girls, and 6 girls are there. So that scene I'm going to talk later about, but what I want to say is that Ferit had only eyes for Jagan, and everybody noticed, and Jagan was kind of flattered when she heard that Ferit was only looking at her. Pırıl and Engin, there wasn't very much going on, just the fact that Engin only had eyes for Pırıl when she walked down those stairs, but other than that, nothing much. Then we have Erdem. Erdem had some amazing scenes. So the first one was when Serkan didn't come to work. Him and Leyla were missing him, and he was like, I'm going to take this moment and sit in Serkan's chair, and he felt so magical there, like he felt the power of the chair. It was just hilarious. And then when Serkan touched Eda, and because he's not allowed to touch her due to the contract, he has to do a punishment, and the punishment is to apologize to the first person he comes across, and the first person is actually Erdem, because they were so into the plans for this school or building for those girls that Serkan didn't look up. So somebody knocked on the door and it was Erdem, but he said, Leyla, what? And Erdem was so like, oh god, I'm really sorry, like so out of place, so shocked, and just doesn't want to disturb Serkan. And then Eda is like, you have to do something, and then he caught up with what Eda is saying. So Serkan had such a hard time to apologize to Erdem, and Erdem at first was like, oh my god, what is he doing? Why is he so close to me? Did I do something wrong? Oh my god. And then when Serkan apologized for underestimating Erdem, it was just so hilarious. And then Erdem was like, oh my my god. And then him being like, in order for me to accept the apology, I have to hug the person. It's the worst for Serkan. And Erdem hugged him. Like, this was one of the best scenes, if not the best. I loved it so much. Then we also have the moment when Erdem overhears Melek telling Celine that she's actually quitting her job, but Engin offered her a job to be his assistant, and Erdem overhears it. So he's like, oh my god, Melek is taking my job. So he takes Layla, goes to Engin and is like, we're engaged, and if I lose my job, I don't have a home. If I don't have a home, I don't have money or something like that, and if I don't have money, then Layla would leave me, blah blah blah. And Engin is like, what are you talking about? She's just a second assistant. You're not going to lose your job. It was hilarious. But also how Serkan found out about Melek quitting her job. So Serkan told Layla that she has to keep an eye on Eda, and there's this whole meeting happening for this event, how they're going to build this building, whatever. So everybody is there. Melek is actually talking to Seyfi. So Layla hears that Melek wants to quit. She goes to Serkan. Serkan is being annoyed that Layla, what do you call it? I'm having a blackout. She stapled the sheets the wrong side, like he doesn't like it on the right, he wants it on the left or something like that. And she's like, I have to tell you something very important. And he's like, this is not the time, blah blah blah. And she's like, Melek quits her job with Celine, blah blah blah. And then Serkan is like, okay, go. And then tells Engin to look at the screen because he wants to show Engin something. So he types, Melek is quitting her job. Quick, offer her a job or something like that, because they're having a conversation. And Engin being like, well, if I have to take Melek, you're going to get Erdem. And Serkan was like, what did I just do? Like, he was so fixed. He was processing the information. It was just amazing. Then we have the Altekin storyline. So because of this whole secret thing and Eda being mad at Serkan, which I'm going to talk later about, Serkan is so angry at Altekin, and Altekin is actually asking Aidan for advice. How should he proceed with this whole situation? Serkan is really mad at him, blames him for everything. He was never there as a father. He always neglected his wife, his son, that he was always working, never there. That's why Serkan had to move in next door, so Aidan wouldn't be alone, and for the whole family it would be the best if Altekin would just leave. So that's what Altekin is actually doing. He's leaving Aidan, and she doesn't know what to do. Like, she's confused at first. She's like, okay, maybe he just needs some space. And when Ayfer is actually coming to Aidan to see what's up with Eda and Serkan, Aidan thinks that Eda already told Ayfer, so there was a little bit of miscommunication happening. But Aidan quickly caught on and was like, well, Eda should tell you what's up. But she doesn't really tell it to Ayfer. She says that maybe Eda was feeling for me because Altekin was cheating on me. And Ayfer is like, oh my god, no, how do you know? And she's like, I have a feeling. But then Seyfi is like, what are you talking about? So she tells Seyfi that she actually had to come up with a lie to kind of fell off Ayfer, for her not to catch on the whole Eda and Serkan situation, if that makes sense. Anyway, Seyfi follows Altekin, sees him with a woman so much younger, holding hands, going somewhere. But Seyfi was trying to protect Aidan, trying to tell her not to call Altekin because he might be tired, blah blah blah. Anyways, towards the end of the episode, Aidan is so happy with the outcome of the gala and how much money they raised. She wants to visit Altekin. Altekin is shocked when he sees Aidan and Seyfi in front of his hotel door. He's really disheveled, and Aidan is really confused. Why? What is he doing? He's really weird. So she's like, let me just check. So she checks everything, and then she finds a hairpin, and then Altekin is telling her that maybe the housekeeping left it there or something like that. She kind of wants him to believe that she believes him, but then the last second she's like, oh, let me check just underneath the bed because you have some problems with dust or something like that. So she checks under the bed, sees the other woman, and who is it? She actually recognizes the other woman. You could really see her disappointment being like really with her. We didn't see Efe that much actually. We only saw him talking to Miss Samika. I think that's the name of the old lady, telling her that he will prepare everything for her arrival, and also telling Eda that he needs to go back to Italy to solve problems there, and that he has this huge client that he can't really let go of, and he's kind of giving Eda the project for her to take over, and she accepted. And then I was like, it for sure has to be the old lady, because later he tells Eda that client really wants to meet Eda. So I really do think that it's going to be her grandmother. And then at the end of the episode, we see him saying goodbye to everybody. They're already at the location of the event, and he's telling Serkan, Engin and Pugil, I believe, that he will leave for Italy immediately, and that he will still be a partner at the holding. He will keep his shares, but his local partner will take over and kind of oversee everything, manage everything. And then he was also auctioned off, if I'm not mistaken. Other than that, we didn't really see him that much. So we can move on to the Eda and Serkan storyline. So we continue right where last episode ended. So Celine coming, telling Serkan that she knows the secret, blah blah blah. Eda finding out. Eda begging Celine that Celine should tell her what's up with her parents, what secret does she know. Serkan is like, oh my god, I have to deal with this mess. Celine, why did you do that? Celine is kind of apologizing that she didn't know that Eda was still here, blah blah blah. Serkan is sending her out, but Eda is like, no, stay here, tell me. And then Celine is like, no, I can't do this, and goes. So Eda is telling Serkan to tell her the truth, and then she riles herself up, gets angry, and I was like, do we continue with that? But anyway, she gets really angry, being like, is that the reason why you gave me this scholarship? But I'm like, girl, he just told you a couple of seconds ago that he only found out recently. So how can he give you the scholarship like months ago if he only found out now? Like, this didn't really make sense. And then she's like, is that the reason why you got so close to me? I was like, girl, you're being unreasonable. Then he's telling her that he loves her that much that he chose to lose her instead of hurting her. And then she's like, I'm looking at you and you're a stranger now, blah blah blah, and storms of course Aidan if Artikin is at home because she wants to talk to him. So Aidan is calling Serkan if Eda knows, tells him that she wants to talk to Artikin, so that's why Serkan is also driving to Aidan's place to kind of be there, talk to Eda as well. When Eda is confronting Artikin, I kind of also felt sorry for him because he kept apologizing and it wasn't really his fault, and she gets really angry. But then as soon as she finds out that it's actually Mr. Kadir, whatever his name is, his fault, she kind of softens up, because I mean, she's still angry. He also tells her that he actually was looking for her and wanted to help her, but she changed her name. So maybe that's also the reason why she softened up a little bit, because she saw and heard that he wanted to help her, but he couldn't because he didn't know her last name. Anyways, when Eda comes out, Serkan stops her. She's really disappointed by this whole situation, and I kind of understand her, I really do. And Serkan is telling her that he still loves her a lot, and his mistake was that he didn't want her to carry this burden. And finally, something switched in her brain, and I was like, girl, finally you're mature, and your reaction is mature, because she was like, it's not your fault, it's Kadir, whatever, his fault. But your mistake was trying to control me, trying to control the decision I would have taken. So he tried to control the outcome. So by not telling her, he controlled her, if that makes sense somehow. And then he tries to explain to her that he did it because he was scared that she would leave him and also not forgive him. And he also tried to talk to her, but she wouldn't let him. And then she tells him that if she would have been in his position, she would have told the truth and said, let's get through this together. And then she also tells him that she can't trust him anymore. She can't be with the person that lies to her, has secrets from her. And that's when Serkan said, I never lied to you, I accept your decision. And I was like, oh my god. Then we have Eda having a breakdown in the car, calling the girls, telling them that they should pack up their things because she needs to get away. Just clear her mind, blah blah blah. That's what they will do somewhere by the beach. She remembers her parents, kind of. They're there for a couple of days, and we see this montage of Serkan not going to work and not opening, not answering anybody, and also Eda being there present but at the same time kind of away with her thoughts. But the rest I'm going to talk later about. Anyways, so Aidan is comforting Serkan, telling him that when she says that she doesn't believe him anymore, that's what a person who didn't believe in love says, and she believes that Eda will get past the pain and come back to him after some time, but she just needs to process everything. She just needs time. Then we have this whole Serkan Altekin confrontation, which I already talked before. Then we have Serkan confronting Selena, and I was like, yes, finally you're telling her what you feel. He gets off on her. On one hand, I'm like, I kind of get where she's coming from, but on the other hand, I'm like, no, you're Celine, so there has to be like some back thing happening, and I'm not buying it. But he goes off. He's telling her that they're not friends. He never loved her. He will never love her. He loves Eda, and she should just mind her business. Their relationship is no friendship, because she says that it's on a friendship basis what she did, and he's like, our relationship is purely business. And I was like, yes, it was amazing. Finally! But then, because Celine is so jealous of seeing Eda and Serkan working together again, she calls the press, tells the press that they broke up, and for the press to come to the company. So when Eda goes out the company, they're actually asking her what's up with the breakup, blah blah blah. She faints. Serkan is actually by her side, catches her and drives off because she wants to confront Kadir, but I'm going to talk later about that. So this was kind of a revenge move for Celine. Later in the episode, we see Serkan and everybody else seeing the news, and Serkan is calling Celine to get the news away or something like that, and she's like, I don't know what you're talking about. It's your personal life, and our relationship is strictly business. I'm only concerned about the business, blah blah blah. And I was like, what a biatch move that was. But later she did another thing, but that's what I'm going to talk later about. Oh, we also have a product placement with Celine. So it's not Head and Shoulders or Pantene anymore, it's Dyson right now. So like I said, Eda goes away, clears her head. After she's done with clearing her head, getting herself back together, she calls Layla, asks if Serkan is at work. Layla tells her that Serkan hasn't been at work. So Eda tells Layla that she should call Serkan, tell him that so Eda is going to work, so he should come as well. Layla does that. When he's back, Eda is also back, gives him a folder with a contract. It's actually a relationship contract between Serkan Bolat and Eda Yıldız, and Serkan, the businessman he is, wants to read the contract, but Eda is like, no, you're not reading the contract, you're signing it without reading it. And that's a first for Serkan. Even Engin and Pırıl were so surprised when they heard about Serkan signing a contract without even reading it, and Engin's reaction was amazing. So after he signs, she says the first thing we do is actually no more ring. So she takes off the ring. He was so apprehensive. He was kind of dragging it out, not wanting to let go of the ring, but he takes it off. And I really like this back and forth with her ring. So now Serkan has her ring. So when they're looking over the plans for this project, he gets really close to her, puts it in her pocket, and that's when he gets too close, touches her, and he has to do the punishment with Erdem. She later finds the ring in her pocket. So when they're at the location for the event, she puts the ring back in his pocket and Celine is watching, but I'm getting to that later. Anyways, I really like this back and forth between them. Before the meeting is happening, Aidan comes witnessing, and Serkan is telling Aidan to tell Eda that there's going to be a meeting, because if he's going to tell Eda there's going to be a punishment, and Aidan is like, when there's punishment there's love or something like that. So she's really pleased that there is still something between them. Later in the episode, we have Eda calling Kadir and using a fake name to meet up with him because she wants to do a project with him or something, and Layla overhears it, tells it to Serkan. Serkan is like, oh my god, I know where she's going. So he goes after her, and that's when the press is attacking Eda. She faints and he picks her up. They drive off. She wakes up in the car car and is like, well, I need to go shopping urgently, and he's like, I know about Kadir, we're going there together, blah blah blah. And then Eda is like, no, I'm going there by myself. He's like, no, I'm not leaving you alone, and he also ruined both of our lives. Then we see them at the flower shop, Eda confronting Kadir. We only see him trying to say something, but Serkan is kind of sending him away. But you could also see Kadir feeling sorry for what he did in the past, and I mean, he got his punishment. Anyways, Eda was so heartbroken in that moment. Serkan was really close to her, asking if she's okay. You could really see her turning towards him. I thought that she would lean on him, cry on his shoulder, but she didn't, because I think she still had the contract in her head, and he kept asking her, are you okay? And she thanked him that he was close to her, and he's like, don't mention it, I'm always going to be there. And then when he says, well, I'm going, she tries to stop him. She doesn't want him to go, actually. You can really see it in her eyes, and kind of begging him, don't go. But then she's like, can you deal with the press, because I don't want to deal with them, blah blah blah. And you could also see his disappointment that she was talking about the press and not really about him leaving. Later we see the girls talking, Eda not knowing how to tell Ayfer the truth, but one of the girls came up with the idea to write Ayfer a letter. Then we have this whole main gala thing happening. Serkan is stopping Eda, talking to her, asking her if she believes what she said, because she told the girls that mistakes happen and mistakes make you stronger. And she's like, of course I believe in what I say. And then he's like, then why don't you believe that I can get better? And then she starts being like, oh, that's not the same thing, blah blah blah. And the last thing he says is, I don't think you should be that cruel, place yourself in my shoes. Then we have this whole auctioning debate. The man didn't want to be auctioned off. Then we have this scene between Serkan and Eda where Eda is like, oh, do you know who your date is going to be? And Celine is actually next to them, and he just gives Eda an envelope, not really saying anything. And then Eda comes up with the idea or the theory that Serkan bid for himself, like such a huge amount of money that nobody could outbid him. And then he's like, I actually want to have dinner with you, and in the envelope is the address of the restaurant, and I'm waiting for you. So Eda puts the envelope in her purse. Then we have this whole fashion show happening, all the girls walking down one by one. So Celine walking down, everybody is looking at her. Then we have Melek, everybody is looking at her. Jagan, Ferit is looking at her. And I really like that they really showed the girl walking down and the guy's reaction. I love that. Then we have Fifi walking down, Erdem's reaction, and then Eda walking down Serkan. So transfixed, like hypnotized, so amazed by her beauty. And Aidan is looking really proud at Serkan and also at Eda. But before that, when Eda was getting ready, he was complimenting her, and then she tells him not to look at her when she's walking down the steps because she might fall, and he's like, oh, no problem, I'll catch you. Like, oh my god, Serkan, so smooth. After this whole catwalk thing, we see Celine going into a room and switching envelopes, and I was like, oh my god, is she actually switching the envelope where Eda was telling Ayfer everything? But then I was like, why would Eda take it with her? Because later we see Ayfer seeing the envelope on the desk, so I'm like, this doesn't really make sense, because then we see Eda still at the location, so it couldn't be the envelope where she wrote the letter. Then we have this small conversation between Serkan and Engin. Engin being really happy with how much was donated and they can build so many buildings with it, blah blah blah. And Serkan is telling him that he will go to the restaurant, wait for Eda there, and that if she appears there's still hope for them, and if she doesn't come then he will leave her alone. So when he wants to go, Eda walks by and he's like, do you want to go to the restaurant together? And she's like, no, I don't know. And he then tells her that he will wait for her. And I was like, oh my god, and it's close to the end, so we won't know in this episode. Ugh. Anyways, we see Ayfer reading the letter, being really shocked. So I'm really interested to see how Ayfer is going to react when she gets face to face with Serkan, Aidan and Eda. I mean, not really Eda, but Serkan and Aidan, of course. And then we see Serkan waiting there at the restaurant. And I think that's the same restaurant they used in Bayanlish when Yeşim told Irem that she should go to America or something like that, if I'm not completely mistaken. Anyways, then we see Eda coming in, sitting down, and I was like, something is off. It doesn't look the same. And then we see both of them, like this montage of them waiting. I was like, oh my god, they're at different restaurants. Celine switched the card. My god. And that's the end. And thank god we got a trailer. But before that, how are we going to digest all of it? So now he thinks she doesn't want to be with him anymore, and her on the other hand, she thinks that he disappointed her once again, not showing up, telling her that he will wait for her, but he's not there. I was like, god, oh my god. Anyways, in the trailer we kind of see Aidan asking for Eda's hand in marriage, and everybody was there. Engin, Pırıl, Melek, Seyfi, Aidan, Serkan, Eda bringing Serkan coffee, and then Ayfer sleeping on Aidan, if I'm not mistaken, and then Aidan warning Serkan kind of that Ayfer, I believe because she was talking about a she doesn't like you or she hates you and she will attack you, and Serkan being like, I'm okay with everything as long as you trust me, and that's the end. And I was like, what was that? I'm so confused. Like, this doesn't fit together, like what we just witnessed in this episode and what we got to see of next episode. Like, I was confusion. I don't know, is that a meme? I believe there's a meme where somebody is saying I am confusion, and that's all I have in my mind, so I am confusion. Anyways, next episode there's going to be the goodbye of Efe and maybe the hello of Mrs. Samika, so the old lady. I still think that it would have been way more epic if the old lady showed up at the event. Just my opinion. But anyways, maybe Abtekin will kind of apologize, try to explain himself to Aidan. Is there anything else? So the grandma appearing, Efe going, Ferit fighting for Jagan, Abtekin trying to explain himself, Eda and Serkan maybe getting closer together. I don't know what else to say. Like, this trailer really confused me. So all I have to say is I really do hope that I said everything. I hope I didn't forget anything. If you still like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Let me know in the comments what your thoughts are on this amazing episode. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Ring that bell to be notified whenever I post something, and I will see you next time. Bye.